Okay, everybody, we're live. Hello, it's Wings of Light, our second live show. So we're by no means experts at this, so or gracefully late. Apologies, my fault. Um, so we have um, Crystal Dragon, we have Chris, and we have Anita from our show on New Year's pre New Year's Eve show. And you've all seen the notice about the topic tonight, the fall of Camelot. And the reason it's the fall of Camelot is because we've all been receiving information over the last year. And we came together in October. And then, here we are in the new year, putting our hearts together to help uplift folks out there. So we've all been on personal journey, and we're united because our information is resonating, amongst each other first. Okay, it's personal information because it's the way that we have been receiving directly from source and or from guidance, divine guidance. So we mean this information in with good intent, not to harm anyone, not to say that anyone else's information is wrong. This is something that we feel very strongly about. It's resonating with us. We want to share it with you. It for me, it lines up with what I found in the Winds of Truth. And even I painted that horse that you saw on the advertisement, and it's on my community board for this channel, for the YouTube channel. And even TikTok saw it. I painted that a year ago in December. It says the wrong date. It's December 20th, 2021 was the date that I finished it. It's before I met any of these girls, before, I found Ishmael Perez, and then he directed us to, or, mentioned the Yenihian script, the Lemurian script. It's Lemuria. It's about ancient Lemuria and Egypt and all kinds of interesting things. And it's very controversial material. It was published in 1939 to 42. It's direct channelings from Archangel Michael. King Arthur, Lord Ahura is in there. That material for me, it pushed me right onto YouTube and creating videos. So it was very powerful. So we're here with good intent. Our hearts are open to you guys. We love you. And we're grateful. Anyone that's joining now live or in the future, or anyone that finds this material helpful, resonating, welcome. The others, please do not take offense. It's our personal reception here. So with that, I don't know if I was supposed to hit on any other, there's advanced topics here, but that's as far as I can go right now. The Solar Lords are presented in the Winds of Truth, and we are referring to the Glowinian plane, the solar plane. The elementals are of that plane, the little people. Lord Ethereal is the Solar Lord that reigns or governs it. And there's a lot of interplay between the different planes, solar planes. So the girls are going to get into that. I just wanted to give a brief introduction to that. So Anita, I think that you're up next. Introduce everybody. Thank you.
All right, so I'm Anita, and we've got Crystal Dragon and Chris, and we found each other before we found Melissa. And actually, Crystal Dragon did a BQH with me in which I found out information about Camelot, and we're going to actually play some of that so that people can hear that. But what's important is Chris and Crystal Dragon have memories of iterations of being actual born dragons, and I've had connections to the solar dragons, and now I too have a connection with my blueprint, with my etheric blueprint with a solar dragon. So I've been at Camelot. All of us have. We were at the fall of Camelot, and that was what came through with my BQH, and so the three of us kind of found that out during that session, and that was kind of what we were going to share. And I wanted to say a little bit about iterations. Part of the ascension process is that your soul has little fractals of itself. And that fractal could be Melissa, Chris, Crystal Dragon, me. And some people think of them as past lives, and you start to bring them together. And there are certain things that you start to remember. And so, some of what we're going to be showing you tonight and talking with you tonight are things that we're remembering, things that have come back to us as part of our fractals. So, I don't know, is there anything else, Chris or Crystal Dragon, that you want to add to that?
Yes, the one thing I want to add is only take what resonates with you. You might not agree with everything that we say, but it's really important that you use your own intuition and just take what resonates. That's all we ask.
Absolutely.
Anita, I think you should take a moment and explain what channeling is.
Okay. So, most
I
Bad
think we lost.
signal.
She's
Okay.
yeah. Are you? Yeah.
So-
Go ahead. We
so
lost it.
channeling is the most important thing that you want to do if you want to be a channel is you want to be sort of an open conduit to source. And it's really important that we stress an open conduit to source, that you go through your heart to connect to source and whatever other beings you may be getting information from, whether it's Ashtar Command or other galactics, source itself, the Arcturians, one of the councils. That coming through your heart allows you to be able to use your discernment and know that the information that you're getting is kind of being blessed through your heart source and through your heart space so that you can rely and trust the information that you're getting. What else would you like to add to that, Crystal Dragon, about channeling?
I have something to say. I forgot to mention that in the Wings of Truth, Archangel Michael specifically says that channeling with a proper type of channel, it's the most direct and accurate information you can get. Provided your heart resonates with it, but otherwise, written material we've seen in our history, a lot of us have questions about it these days. We have to learn how to feel independently and make that connection ourselves. Excuse me, I'm on the camera here. They don't know anything. I was like, so you're making this connection through your heart, and in the beginning you're wondering, is that my thoughts or is it someone or a being or guidance, divine guidance, angelics, galactics, good people, good versus not so good. You have to kind of walk through that. Sometimes you need some help doing that, but as we progress with these energies, we're going to be doing it on our own. So everyone is equal with this. It's just a matter of whether you've been able to open up to it and just relax into it, and always open that. You can open it on your own, but I just want to mention that real quick.
The reason I brought that up about the channeling is because I do channel for some different higher entities. And it's interesting because a couple days ago, Merlin, the wizard, came in and gave me a message for the folks listening here tonight. The message he wants you to know is, he says, I am Merlin. Some of you may be challenged tonight, but you answered the call. I'm here to ask you to open your mind and absorb the magical light codes with your heart. Your Lord Jesus, Yeshua, Yesias, was to a starseed sent here to Earth by God. He was sent to repair the human DNA blueprint. Yes, he was and is God's son, but so are each of you. Does not your book say Jesus had a star? Did not the wise men follow the star? Your book also says that you would do greater things than he. Your Lord Jesus, we call him Josias. He's the Lord of the first solar plane. There are 13 solar planes that emit the great cosmic rays of God. King Arthur, we call him Lord Ahura, too was a starseed and light worker. He is Lord Ahura of the 7th solar plane. The Dark Agenda purposely removed many books from your Bible long ago, along with the magic. They destroyed every ascension attempt many times over. If you are here tonight hearing this, know that you were divinely chosen to hear the secrets that have been hidden in timelines. Allow the angelic, magical rays illuminate light codes and memories within you to unveil the truth. And that's the end of the transmission I'm getting.
Well, that's powerful. I had the goosebumps and, choking the tears back. So I hope the audience is feeling the same. I see a lot of comments in the chat. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Crystal Dragon. So some folks on here might not be familiar with BQH. So I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of it. It's beyond quantum healing, and it is heart-based and focuses upon a creative, energetic approach to assist clients in self-healing. It's sort of like a meditation trance, and sometimes there's confusion between BQH and QHHT. Candace Craw Goldman actually studied under Dolores Cannon, and the biggest difference that I could tell in my research was that QHHT is in person 100% of the time, where BQH could be either. So I know I've actually sat in some sessions that were remote online and extremely effective. So really blew my mind how effective it was. But both BQH and QHHT are valuable in healing unresolved traumas and blockages. In order to get this to work, because it is self-healing, you have to believe, right? So you have to believe that you can heal yourself for this to work, because it really kind of takes you deep within. So what to expect in a session? It is meditation and visualizations. So those are key. And if you haven't been meditating on a regular basis, you can start, as early as tonight, tomorrow. I always tell people to start with 5 to 10 minutes a day. The more you do it, obviously, the better you get. And sometimes it's difficult for people to start, but just as long as you keep at it, you're going to master it in no time. Visualizations are key because you kind of have to see. We've had sessions where people couldn't see or explain what they were, experiencing, and it made it more of a challenge. But YouTube and TikTok can help. So, just start researching that. So these sessions they may connect you to your higher self and or other beings. So I've probably participated in, I don't know, maybe around 10 to 15 sessions. And I can tell you that each one is unique and different. And there's always something that just kind of really surprises us during the session. Any traumas that come up are strictly learning experiences, and we really try to tell folks not to dwell on them, because it's kind of like taking a 1,000-foot view of what you're seeing, because the goal is to overcome that trauma, not to just sit there and dwell on it, right? We need to overcome those. So overcome challenges in the present by reconnecting with your past. So this is not something that you should be afraid of. I've had 2 of them, and myself, and they're just so, it's such a unique experience. It's kind of hard to even explain the benefits of it. But for my sessions, I did have a full body healing scan, and that helped remove some unresolved trauma that I had, not only in this life, but in past lives. It improved my meditation and visualizations. The growth that I've had from where I'm at today, from the first BQ8 session I had in June, is pretty phenomenal. And today we're actually going to play some examples of Anita's session that we have 4 parts of it, and it discusses the King Arthur time era. And one final thing I want to say before I turn it over to Anita and team is just caution about paying for these sessions. Your session is going to be about an hour long if you do it. Some are an hour and a half. But they can be kind of costly. So, but you may find them for free. And there's examples even on YouTube that are free. So I would suggest, searching that out first. But I know people that have paid as high as $650 for them. Anything else to add, Crystal Dragon, Anita, on the BQHs?
Usually a normal BQH is about an hour and a half, unless you have somebody like Anita. Hers was very far from normal. I love you, dear, but I'm going to tell the truth. Sorry. I've not had the privilege of giving Melissa one. But Anita's, I can't even remember how long hers was. And I mean, I knew right out of the chute that it was going to get crazy. I mean, it was like a roller coaster ride. And I was blown away with the things that she was revealing, her higher self was revealing. You cannot fake a BQH if you have a good facilitator. And you should never be afraid of a BQH. As long as you have a decent facilitator, she or he can redirect you into a soft landing. And I always send in spiritual guides to pull them out of bad situations whenever needed.
Yeah, Anita's session was an hour and a half. I'm the official record keeper for the ones that we have. And it was 84 minutes exactly.
And what's important, are we there? Okay.
Melissa keeps popping in and out. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Is that you're going in to find information about trying to bring yourself, your pieces of yourself and finding out information. And that's what we did. So I think I'll pass it on to you, Melissa, if you want to. I think now is a good time maybe to start showing a little bit about what that BQH looked like, because I went to CAMELOT. I wound up going to the Knights of the Round Table. It was one of the places I went.
Right. Yeah, your story, but I can. I kind of hinted on the flyer, the one with the horse. Okay,
Right.
I talked about painting the CAMELOT painting, the CAMELOT portion of my black horse painting with the gold wings. It's a Pegasus. It was a black Pegasus. I was calling it Black Pegasus. I was not calling the painting. I still hadn't called until Tuesday when we decided, maybe it's time to quickly, do this show tonight. It was a, totally intuitive agreement between the four of us. Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. What are we going to call it? Oh, the Fall of CAMELOT. Oh yeah, that makes sense. It was just off the cuff. And the CAMELOT painting, when I was going to give a second notice to remind, I was like, maybe I should use that as a background. That's how crazy everything's coming together. And, then I put Crystal Dragon's icon on there, and it was like the perfect setup graphically. And then, of course, CAMELOT, which only took me about 15 minutes to paint on that painting. It took days and weeks to paint the horse and the wings and all that. And all of a sudden, the last minute, it was like, what am I going to put here? Well, I thought it was for New York City. I thought it was future New York City. And looking at it in the context that we're talking about tonight, it looks like the Fall of CAMELOT. And that didn't even hit me until after.
And the interesting thing is, we found out is the person that I go into, his name is Donegal of the Usar clan. He is actually in lineage with one of the original Knights of the Round Table, Sir Gawain. Their colors are black and gold. And so it was really interesting to think that possibly you were getting that information, and it might even be Donegal that you had painted.
Okay, so I've set the thing up to be presented. I'm just going to hit it. There's a box. There should be a box there now for it. I'm going to hit the button. We're going to play the tape of Anita's BQH session with talking about Donegal.
I was connected in with Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And it's funny because we had talked about that, but he's showing me that I was one of the knights and that I worked with really, Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table were like a council of light here, and we did light work, and he was sort of the elder of the council. Merlin was. He says his dragons did their work. They did what they were supposed to do. And he said, it's unfortunate. He said, well, let's talk about when. He says, because I've been working with my dragons for a long time. He said during the time of King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table, that's actually a council of light. The dragons were there to support the council. We at that time were trying to, the Cabal was starting at that time. They'd already started from ancient Egypt, but they were really coming out to different parts of the planet to infiltrate their sort of like centralized way. And they had come to England. Oh yeah, with Rome and Hadrian's Wall, and I'm seeing all that. And we had done a really good job, and the dragons were really part of that in keeping the invaders out, which is really the Cabal. But it fell. Like all the knights are fighting, but what's really interesting about this is they had all this technology. Like their suits of armor, they were light armor, and their swords were light swords. Like they were not like what we think, metal but imbued with light.
Okay.
So it was a highly technical construct that they were living in. I mean, it wasn't like we think of the Dark Ages. There was all this technology.
I'm sure the technology was hidden from us, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because unfortunately, we didn't win, and then England got overrun. The United Kingdom got overrun. They hid all of it.
Will we get that? Will we get that back that they hid?
If we did.
So they buried it.
They totally buried it. They actually changed after the Middle Ages. They completely changed the face of England. They made all these parks. They completely destroyed the only thing they couldn't really destroy were some things that were there, like, they put it in place, that's why. Stonehenge, things like that, but that was they made that. That wasn't of the light. Yeah, any old stuff that you see that they left standing is because they get energy from it, they're using it. Anything that was part of that time got buried. They completely plowed over England and reformed it so that people would have no idea. But I'm seeing the knights. I mean, it's so cool. They had armor that went over the horses. They weren't just horses, though. Oh my gosh, they were kind of like unicorns, too. And the dragons and all the technology. It's so cool. It's like medieval on steroids. It's so wild.
What color was your horse? What was your name? What were your colors?
Gold.
Gold.
Gold. And my horse actually is black. And my colors, so black and gold actually, are my colors. My name is Donegal of the Usara clan, and we're here to take care of all of this, what is really hard, and we're not winning. We're losing the dragons. Oh, okay, well, I gotta step back from that. Wow, that was intense. I'm sorry, I went into him for a little bit. I apologize for that.
No, you don't have to apologize.
Wow. Yeah. There was
Are you okay?
Yeah, it was just we lost a blue and a purple dragon. It was really awful.
So
Okay.
that was an excerpt of my BQH of what I went into. I actually, when I started to kind of go closer into see what was happening, I went into my past life Donegal, and I was actually seeing two of the dragons get taken down, and I've had connection with Donegal since then. And he did give me some information to talk about a little bit with what I saw, and gave me more information about that. So I thought I could share that if you guys were up for that.
Please.
So what he told me was that the dragons actually were more the commanders. They called them pentagonals. There were groups of 5. So you had a dragon and you had four knights with horses. And the dragons were the commanders because they were the eyes in the sky. They were able to control, like see everything and be able to work the strategies of what needed to with battle. Plus, they were the grid workers. They were the ones that were protectors and guardians. And so, they did that all from the sky. But they worked specifically very closely with 4 knights. They had these specialized pentagonal groups. And the dragons are able and work closely with plasma. So they would go to the sun and they would get plasma. And they have a special placket within their underside where they can actually hold the plasma, which doesn't look like goo. It looks like it's actually strings of light. And they would bring them down, and they had these specialized areas with special stone that almost like special ops, these pentagonal groups would get onto the stone, because that was where the dragon would then basically put the plasma into the light armor and charge it. And it was really, he showed me, it was really interesting when the dragons took out a string and it went straight, like totally straight. And then he put it right into the light sword. And it has to do with, because plasma is condensed light. So it's all electromagnetics. So everything had lights. There were lights like in the ground. There were all lights up around inside the barn area where the horses were. So everything was going by 0-point energy, and so was the light armor. So the light armor with electromagnetics would do something with the plasma. He was explaining it to me that it would charge the plasma and it would allow it to work with the energy field of the knight and the horse. And then another thing he explained was that the horses were sovereign beings. So they were coming in and out of the barns. They basically, they didn't have bridles. The armor was really cool. It was in a disc. And the horse would take his head and pop it up. And then the disc would flow over the horse. And from head to toe, it would give, it would put the light armor around the horse. And then when they charged it, there were certain spots within the horse's armor that got charged. Same thing with the knight's armor. The knight's armor, I mean, Donegal was laughing when I showed him some of the stuff with the knights like jousting. He was laughing so hard. He's like, "Are you kidding?" He's like, "That's not what we do. We've never done that before." He goes, "That's ridiculous. It's like being on a tin can. How could?" He's like, "No." He's like, "That's ridiculous." He goes, "Boy, history, that's not anything like it was." They actually had these special ops suits that sort of looked like armor, but they actually went into them. They were open from the back and they would go into them, and the back would close up. And they had a lot of mobility on the horses. And it was interesting. He was showing me that around the tops of the horse's feet and all around to the front, the shoulders, there were like ledges where he could step and move around on the horse. The horse they had a big, huge pommel that he could hold on to, but there was no bridle. They didn't control the horses. They worked with the horses. And we have light bodies called Merkabas, and the knight and the horse would put their Merkabas together and would actually combine their light bodies. And with that, using their torus field of the light body and the plasma energy of the light armor, they could actually do all this really cool stuff that they learned to do together. They could take down scout ships. They could create these vortexes of energy and actually bring down light ships. And Donegal was showing me that you would actually use the sword to to like to target things. So it was really very technical, and they were using energetics as well as technology. It was very organic, and they were fighting to bring us back after Atlantis, because we were at the 4D, lower 5D level. We were almost there. At Camelot, it was a light council. The table of Camelot, Donegal was showing me, was the 12 Essene tribes were the 12 original Knights of the Round Table. And Donegal's grandfather was Sir Gawain. And so it's through lineage that they would be able to connect into the table. The table, literally, you had to have the DNA. You could actually consciously, because it was a consciousness device, and every knight was seated at his specific spot, and they were able to actually interface with the table, which was more than a table. It connected to the light councils, it connected to the Galactic Federation, it connected to all these different things that were going on, because we were regaining galactic citizenship after the fall of Atlantis. There were spaceships in the sky as well as dragons in the sky. I mean, it was not what people are led to believe in terms of what the Middle Ages looked like. I mean, they weren't even set up as Middle Ages in terms of time. So yeah, I know it's a lot of data, a lot of information, but Donegal was showing me, and it was pretty cool to see it, and to know that the dragons were the ones who were holding everything together with the Knights of the Round Table, and pulling in the light to anchor us in. And we're doing that now. The fall of Camelot, there's a correlation to where we are right now, because we're right now at the place where we're trying to hold the light and get ourselves to that point of ascension. So I'll kind of end my little spiel there about that. But if anybody wants to add anything else, go right ahead.
Well, I think, there was a question right at the bottom there, Anita. So if you could just repeat what you said about Gaiwan.
That's Sir Gawain. Right?
Gawain.
And, right. What? Oh, I can't hear her. Anita, you're muted. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, it's it's Gawain or Gawain. He can pronounce his name a couple different ways. But yeah, that was the my lineage was through Sir Gawain, or Sir Gawain. And each one of the knights has lineage, and it's, going down through the line. The Essene tribes have kept this esoteric knowledge going.
Right. And she brought Donegal was the grand, or maybe it was 3 generations later. You said something about that. Just to clarify, because that's where it gets controversial, and we don't want to go out there saying we are divine or anything like that. So trying to be respectful to the lineage of Sir Gawain or Gawain, or however, it's the way that Donegal, who is a fragment of Anita and her consciousness, how he served, he's giving the information to her. It's obviously, a part of her energetic makeup, her soul makeup. So we're privileged to hear the information. We don't mean any disrespect to anyone. It's just, this is her personal story. So you were going to say
Anita, I
something?
have a question for you. There's a false teaching out there right now that says they're saying that the dragons are service animals. Can you expound on whether that's truth or not?
Everything I saw says the complete opposite. The dragons were commanders. They were the ones that were commanding the military, and they were under, like Lord Ahura was like the lead commander, the lead general, if you want to say, or the king, and he gave all the rules. But the dragons worked. They had telepathy. I mean, they had all these skill sets that allowed them to actually be the strategists of the military, and they had huge capability. I mean, there were tanks in the sky. So in what way they were service? They were service to humanity as the highest humanitarians you can imagine, but they were not service animals. They they were our friends, they were our brothers at arms, and they were our family.
Having said that, Chris and I both were Merlin's dragons. I don't know if that was mentioned earlier or not. So I know I can confirm a lot of these things. And that's why it's so important to have checks and balance systems, because when you see these things and you hear these things in these BQHs, and I mean, that aside from the astral realm, when you dream and you sleep at night and you're doing dragon missions and you're doing gridding, you almost think you're crazy. And it's kind of nice to be able to establish a check and balance system for validation, because the things that we have been experiencing through the years, believe me, we've asked many times, have I completely lost my marbles? Because I'm seeing these things. I remember these things. Thanks for clearing that up, Anita. I didn't want to say it. I'd rather hear it from somebody else.
Well, I mean, we do that for each other, because you do feel sort of like you're spinning around in your own mind, and to find that somebody else is having these other experiences, or you can trigger each other and build knowledge with each other. There's something that's very comforting with that.
Yeah, and then if I can just add one thing is with some of our BQ8 sessions that we've had, it was interesting that some of the same themes came up with different people that knew things that they didn't even know about those other sessions. So I mean, I just found that really as a confirmation to some things. And when I first started, like, there's BQH examples online on YouTube and stuff, and Crystal Dragon and I were listening to somewhere like, is this, can this even be true? This was way back in the beginning of 2022, and it was just kind of amazing. The first one we did, and that person was at the time of the pyramids. So, but yeah, I think I ask myself every day or every other day if I'm crazy.
Can I just jump into when I found the Winds of Truth material? It not only talked about the King Arthur, but that was immediately drew me into it, but Lemuria and ancient Egypt, and some of the stuff in there in other books, parts of it are so controversial. I haven't covered everything that I found in there. It's really for everyone to go into, but it was suppressed material. I mean, according to Ishmael Perez, now some people have an issue with him. For me, I never got anything but humility. I met him whenever it was in July. He just, he goes right into the interview, and it's boom, done, and end of it. No fluff, no nothing. So, everyone can just take whatever they want. But the Winds of Truth material for me was really, pivotal to sharing on a larger scale. We all have our personal experiences. I do not have conscious REM memory like the three ladies here, but I have had my own experiences with opening up to the awakening process. And this is, 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. I had my own experiences. I have not done a BQH. I'm not sure I'm supposed to, and I'm sure we'll be directed to do it if it's supposed to happen. So we have to kind of follow our gut and make sure you find someone reputable. And it can trigger a lot of emotional awakening processes. Your life could get bumpy. At least that's what happened with me a couple of times. And I didn't have a BQH. This is just direct opening. So we all have to walk a very careful line. And like Crystal Dragon said, make sure that you have a system of checks and balances in, other people that maybe can anchor you, or you could speak to freely and trust them that, they're not going to mark you as insane, or, because each of us, we've had our own journeys. Some of us out there that are, in the audience know what that is. So we have to just be very careful who we share the information with. That's all. Okay. I hope I have some questions because I asked for them. You guys can keep talking until I line some up. I'll put them up on the screen.
I'd like to bring up something that a lot of people are interested in. I was mentioning we kind of, it's always nice to talk to a group of people when you can ask, are we really crazy? I asked my guides this not too long ago. And what's interesting is their response was, they asked me, they said, are your ascension symptoms real? I was like, wow, you're right. They're like, do you remember what you've been going through for the last several years physically? And I was like, wow, you're right. So, I mean, these questions, all of your questions can be answered within you. As Anita was saying, it's all within your heart space, your higher being, your higher self, your spirit, your soul, whatever name you want to give it. Okay. It's all within you. And then another thing, we're talking about things that happened in the past, but just to prove to you, for instance, I'm actively physically time jumping now. And I'll just give an example because I was with Chris and we were meeting Anita in another state. And I had just gotten out of the car. Chris was driving. And I got out of the car and we were walking to go into the hotel to meet Anita. And I stopped and I said, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a problem with my gun because I'm locked and loaded. And I look at Chris. She's like, what? Because I literally saw myself getting out of the car and walking. I was in a completely different car. And go ahead, Chris. You can chime in anytime. I know you want to. But in that instant, I saw myself and I was in a completely different place. And I just jumped back into this time. So, I mean, these things are happening to us. This is very real. And I mean, I think I time jumped several times within that first hour of being there that I could remember. Even like our room we were staying in, and I saw different numbers. And I said, oh, what a coincidence. And I said the numbers. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, 5, 6. And she's like, looks at me like, what are you talking about? And then we went on a destination to a mound on this particular trip with Anita and Chris. And we'd never been to this place, this location. And we're on the Google Maps and it's pulling up and it says the next exit. The exit we were looking for was exit 5, 6. I mean, these are the things that happen. I mean, the synchronicities are ridiculous. And I know some of you in the audience are thinking, wow, has this happened to me? A prime example is if you've ever had a deja vu and you're like, wait a minute, I kind of remember this. That's kind of how it starts. It's just that I've done a little bit more work where you and I are both the same and I'm able to remember more. That's the only difference. But you and I are the same. We're all the same. We're all one collective. And our goal here is to help you guys and give you a skill set and some tools that will help you grow too. And ultimately, I want to tell you that we're not crazy. You guys are not crazy, the ones that are going through these ascension symptoms. You know what that means? That means you're doing a great job. And I just want to thank you for serving alongside with me. I'm done now. Sorry.
Thank you, Crystal Dragon. You're so full of wisdom and information. It's off the charts, both of you ladies. And it's an honor to be here. So we have a question. We don't have a whole lot of questions. I think that the information, they're taking it in because it's a lot. It's not the first time I heard the recording. Fortunately, we had a little prep, and we heard it last October with some other friends who one of them joined us here tonight in the chat. I hope he's still here. And I'm sorry I couldn't reach out in the days before. It was a mile a minute here. Torrent, crazy stuff going on. Good stuff. But hopefully in the future we'll be able to have some other folks that were a part of our group coming in to connect. So I have a question from Fraser Ray. Ladies of the Blue Rose, Sophia was of the Sacred. I believe that's what she was writing there. Are they connected? Well, do you guys know? Look, the Order of the Holy Grail, of course, very important. Their symbol was a red rose. But there was a school. I've heard of this, and I wound up painting a blue rose myself a couple of years ago. This blue rose connected to Mary Magdalene, I believe, Mother Mary, certainly. Do either of you have any information on that? Or maybe Donegal, or maybe even Merlin could help out with that. I don't know.
So, Crystal Dragon, are you getting anything with the blue rose?
No, I'm not.
I'm not getting anything right now about it either. Let me just check in and see with Donegal.
Well, while we're doing that, I mean, Anita, if there's any other information they want to share or comment.
What he wanted to share is that one of the things that we were working to bring back with the fall of before the fall of Camelot, but with Camelot, was the institution again of combining in this sacred duality of the divine masculine, divine feminine, and how the ladies of the Blue Rose were so important for holding that energy in Camelot and holding the sacred divine feminine there. And
right, that's how they got control.
And that's how they're all connected. Now, what did you say about control?
The dark forces got control by putting us out of balance with divine masculine, divine feminine, because when we're in balance, we're in that 0 point where we're able to bring in our higher selves or our divine power. A lot of us, even in this lifetime, we were not in our power until recently, fully. Some are certainly our audiences we're working on it. It's a work in progress, but we were into a patriarchal system, which completely annihilated any power the divine feminine had and knocked humanity off balance. And that's how things got the way they got. We got all the way away from where we were meant to be. And a lot of people, from my experience, have had, feelings about Camelot or love watching the Camelot movies or, are drawn to it. And I believe that's why I was drawn to find Winds of Truth and then the Arthur material. And still, there's more coming, is because we all have a connection to that because humanity almost made it. I think that might have been one of the last times we got that close, or maybe it was the only time we got that close. Maybe there were things since or before. I don't know where all that fits in. I just know that this generation, we have a lot of interest and ties to that time period, and it's fascinating to hear this take on it, because like every single science fiction movie or anything I've taken in over my entire lifetime, has brought me to this point where I completely feel that's correct information, just personally, just where my life has taken me. So, dragons, everything, dragon movies, whatever, all of it, Star Wars, the whole thing. It just makes a whole lot of sense. So the Blue Rose were symbolized the women that were in partnership with the knights. They were in partnership. I'm sure they were warriors too. They weren't just damsels in distress, right?
They were definitely warriors, because I'd asked that question of Donegal, and he said a lot of the time, a lot of the women, many of them chose to hold the light by being energy workers and holding the light that way. But there were some who were out there as knights fighting, just, you know, because they wanted that physicality. They wanted to be part of doing that. But what happened, I mean, after that, Donegal, like, I have to find more information about what happened after Camelot fell, because Donegal died that day. That day that we heard that, you know, excerpt from, you know, he didn't make it, he died. But I think some of the lessons that we can glean from Camelot is that you don't give up, you keep going. We're so close to bringing ourselves to this point where we're going to make it. You know, we're going to ascend, and we're going to be able to bring the collective up. So we have to keep being these pillars of light, no matter what, even in the face of what seems like chaos in our world. We're that calm center and pillar of light that holds, you know, the light down into Gaia, that holds it for the collective. And we give that support to each other too. Like finding some place to go, like being able to talk to you, Melissa, or Chris, or Crystal Dragon, like having some form of ability to have friends that you can talk to, that you can, you know, share examples with, and they can tell you you're not crazy, or they could trigger you to have better memories and more memories. I think that's important, but holding the light is the most important thing. And I'll share this because I'm not home right now. I'm in a McDonald's parking lot. My internet completely went down today. And I asked, because all day I was like, oh, I've got the internet, everything's working fine. I live in a rural part of Virginia. And so I asked my guides today, I'm like, are you kidding me? This happened like while I was getting ready. Why would this happen? I was like really angry, and they're laughing. And I asked, and they said, you need to be in the center of town. And I said, why? Why can't I do this from the comfort of my like living room? What's going on here? And they said, because of your light, because we need you on a Friday night when everyone's going to be in town. We need you being a pillar and an anchor of light there, not back at your farm. So I went, oh, okay. So here I am in McDonald's parking lot. I thought I would just share that.
It's like people are like, are you getting a cheeseburger? I mean, what's going on? We're going to have a show, and are you on the line at McDonald's, or, you know, is it so funny? But we do what we can, you know, to bring it. So here now, Carrie. So thank you for the questions. Can you tell us where the dragons come from? Crystal Dragon, I'm sure.
I can answer that question. That's a great question, Carrie. Carrie, the dragons are all born on the Gloamheim solar plane, which is Lord Uriel's, Archangel Uriel's ethereal. He's the sixth Lord of the solar plane, the Christneth Ray, which is the 12th solar system of the 12th universe of God. I believe Melissa has detailed information on her webpage, Wings of Light. Amazing information on the solar planes. If you haven't seen it, take time. Beautifully done with pictures. It reads it to you. I mean, it's amazing. But what I do want to tell you is my team of dragons, we've gone to the solar plane. Consciously, we did a guided meditation. Do you remember that, ladies? Yeah?
Yeah, that was, it was miraculous.
Which portal was it?
Special.
Do you remember which portal? Was it 10?
10 portal.
10. But anyways, what's important about that is we flew through the sun, because they've lied about that too. I know you're shocked, right? The sun is actually a portal. So we had to go through the sun, and we met up with actually Merlin went with us, right? Is that the trip that Merlin? I think he went with us. Um, we flew through the sun, the team of dragons, and once we got through the sun, we hooked up with the solar dragons. They're different than the my kind of dragon. And they guided us to the solar planes. And when we came through the clouds for the solar, I mean, we were coming in hot, fast, and fury, the whole team. And it was kind of crazy. But that place is magnificent. It's green. The trees just illuminate with it almost looks like women's hair. They're so silky and gorgeous. But what I really remember was it's the world of elementals. This is where the fairies and the dragons and all of us cool things come from. The eggs are actually hatched there. And while they're being in incubation, the fairies actually roll them over and they care for them. And then when the dragons are hatched, the fairies train us and help us and take care of us until the other solar lords come in and pick which dragons they're taking. And then we go to their rays with them. And we basically do the gridding. We handle the dragon lines, and we all have jobs. But I don't know. I probably forgot a bunch about the Glowheim solar plane, but that was an awesome question. Anybody else can chime in now.
I just want to say it's on my YouTube channel, the solar planes that I got. Again, it's from the Winds of Truth, and I didn't know anything about this stuff when I put those together. And then Crystal Dragon came along in October, just at that 1010 portal. It might have been the day before, and then Anita and I first spoke on the 1010 portal. So, and then another person came in during the King Arthur production between the first set of films, which were no voice. I didn't have the software for that yet. And then he came in and he was going to do some narration, but we all identified with each other, and we had, a soul connection. And then there's another person also who, he's a part of our group too. Even though we're not, like working with him right now, he's definitely a part of our group. So we have another question, and thank you for that question, because that's how we got the resonating material. The common material here is the Winds of Truth material, which is a set of books. You can contact me. You can go on to any of the videos. The reference is right below it. You can get your own set of books or just look at the videos. So we have another question from Jules. Master Kutumi told me I was Gawain. She's in contact with the Ascended Master. So the Master Kutumi speaks directly to her, and she's been on the road for a long time. So she's an experienced light worker, let's say. Told me I was Gawain, although I do not remember it. I was drawn immediately to Melissa, and now to all of you. I guess we were friends before. So that's perfect example of some of us have a double fragments. I don't know how that works, but you can have an experience, be similar souls, or tag on to each other and kind of travel through the experiences together. I'm not an expert, but you guys know more about that than I do. What's your take, Anita?
Well, Crystal Dragon, did you want to say something first? No, okay. You wanted to go. Well, that means that it sounds like she was my great grandfather, or my grandfather, from what Donegal said. But what it means is that there's such an intricacy of how all of our souls are connected with our fractals. And what it really comes down to is just to remember something. We're all one. Like, you are me and I am you. And what it really comes down to is my soul and your soul are so connected because we are one. and we're all having these different experiences, but it all comes back to God having this experience. And so I find it really interesting. I think that's so cool that you were Gawain. And I just found out from Donegal like yesterday that Gawain was his grandfather, and that with the lineage and how how everything went together in terms of the light councils, and everything goes through lineage, and the round table. It just kind of blew my mind, and I'm still kind of processing it now. Till like Donegal's laughing about it because he thinks it's really funny, but it's really interesting was when you start pulling these pieces of yourself together, that they're there within you, which I would find it really interesting.
Oh no! Oh my God! Ah! Did we lose you, Anita? Your image froze, and I can't hear you. If she totally goes, she'll come back in when she can. I see. Okay, but I think we answered the question that essentially we're fragments, right? We came out really far away from creator source, and we kept subdividing, and that's why it's hard to understand the oneness, but that's what it is. It's creator separated, and came down through the universe. This first universe down to 12, like all the way at the edge of the 12th universe, and now it's time to like reassemble. And so our experiences here on Earth and whatever dimension we experienced it in are all connected. So yeah, the oneness, not to give a cheap answer, as far as the past life of Gawain, you may have been. It's possible, and then you guys are our soul tribe. So it's fascinating.
Melissa,
Mhm.
it's kind of just like how we were back in Camelot and how we could communicate with our teams. We communicated telepathically. And like Anita said, we were the commanders in the sky. We were letting them know what we were seeing. And they couldn't take us down. One thing we did forget to discuss, what did take us down in Camelot? It was sound frequencies, because we fly off of frequencies. Everything is about frequencies, guys. Even today, it's the same tricks. It's the same devices they've been using time and time and time again. They changed the frequencies of the music back in the 40s, 50s. They everything's about frequencies. And all the way back in Camelot, they changed the frequencies and the technology, because we had very, very advanced technology. We were in the high fourth dimension. We were getting ready to cross into 5D. And then when they started they took us down with the frequencies and dark mass energy. It's the same thing that they attacked with Atlantis. Remember, they started messing with the dark mass. And we know about that too, because we've been there. But focusing back on Camelot, that changed everything, because then we were not able to fly. The dragons we can't take to the air because we lost our bearings. Then they separated us. Once they separated us, then they destroyed us and killed us one at a time. And we did not have easy deaths. So that's, what does it have to do with everything right now? They're doing the same thing with us here in this day and age, and they've been doing it for eons. The same bag of tricks. Go ahead, Anita.
I was just going to agree with you, and I'm disagreeing. Absolutely. It's the same deal. Try to change the frequency. They've, changed the frequency of music. They've changed the frequency of, they're trying to change the Schumann frequency, and they're trying to change every frequency they can to invert it. And what it does is it just messes with our energy bodies, so that we can't connect in, and we can't, we have to work harder to get the connections that we need to do through our energy system.
Over time, we didn't know. We were sensitive to that. We didn't know about it because we were in ignorance. That's how it happened, over many, many millennia. So, we're learning now, and with the solar activity that's going on, it's because we're in a certain position within the galaxy, the way the planets are revolving, the way everything's set up. We're in a peak period to receive the photonic light, rather, and it's heightening our consciousness. It's putting like fertilizer out there for us to like reach up and grab it, and then explode into the next level. So, I mean, there's a reason why everything's happening now. Why didn't it happen 50 years ago? They were trying. A lot of material was coming in the 20th century, especially in the 30s. We talked about this, and and then it changed again. There was World War II. So it's always been a battle of light and dark. It is on other dimensions and other planets, galaxies, but the way that the solar lords, the angelics, the way they all travel is on light beams. And this is in Winds of Truth. That's how they travel around, or to us, or wherever they go. It's, again, that's frequency. That's color and sound. So I'm not much questions, just some comments here. So she was asking about, Violet was asking, hello, Violet, asking about what is an alicorn? She's talking about alicorns. I never heard of an alicorn. Do you know what that is, Crystal?
No, I don't.
Okay, maybe you'll let us know. And okay, sorry about that.
Carrie had a question. Where was it at? Oh, Carrie asked what they should be doing right now as far as tools, meditations. So I think I said earlier, if you haven't started meditating, no time like, the present to just begin. That's probably, I think, one of the biggest things to start with. But there's other tools available. I know, like the Wings of Light website. There are some amazing stuff about King Arthur in there, the solar rays. So just looking through that, and then on the Ascension Superpowers website, there's actually some activations out there. So I think all these little things that you do, you're going to get activated and triggered in different ways. There's light codes in there. Ascension Superpowers started putting out some light language. I don't know, Crystal Dragon, do you have anything to add to that, or Melissa?
No, I do want to say, before we get off, because we went a little over time here. Right, Ascension Superpowers is the YouTube channel, and the TikTok is Guardian_Commander on TikTok. That's where the activation videos are. They're very short, 1 minute, 2 minutes, not even, they're very short and charming. The fairy one today kind of went with the Glowenheim, material. And I revamped it a little bit before I reposted it today on YouTube, and I upgraded it in a way for TikTok, because that's where we were today. So that's their TikTok and YouTube channels, and a lot of information's on my YouTube now. I've got like 100 videos up there, and some of them are in different generations. So I isolated them by playlists, and I am also working on the Pleiadian. Anita received some information. These are 12 meditations that the Pleiadians have given, which I'm setting to videos now. And they're extremely powerful, and you can go in there, and I've only done one so far, but I'm going to be on a roll with this. I know it, because the Pleiadians are coming and working with me now too. It's not just the CAMELOT material. It's really powerful with the Pleiadians right now.
What I wanted to say about that too is a lot of the meditations are also to help with the ascension symptoms for changing over from your carbon-based body to your crystalline body. And so it's like really, really helpful, because I do struggle with that. I have issues, I find that with certain things, and I think all of us can say that we've had ascension symptoms that can really kind of get in your way sometimes. And these meditations, they help with like each one of your systems. They had, you know, the third eye, they had your throat, they had your circulatory system, your bones, because your bones are your antenna. And that's the first thing after you get changed to crystal are your bones. So really cool stuff. I'm really glad that you were able to do that, Melissa, because I found that to be just amazing work.
Right. It's a growing experience. The first video, which is up there, is on the circulatory system, the brain and the heart and the circulatory. But they, like she said, there's 7 different systems. And then at the end of it, there's a light activation meditation. So I think there are 8 total videos that'll be coming out off of that. So just keep checking back. And this is stuff we can do on our own. It's not going to alter your state either. You know, some of the, you know, from my own experience, you know, my states got altered 2 times without supervision. It just happened. So it was extreme. But, you know, throw the baby in the pool to teach it to swim. Here, just go and swim. So that was my experience. But these are not altering, but they're healing. They're penetrating our consciousness and helping us to bring our focus onto our own light body upgrades. And they have higher knowledge, of course, you know, to teach us. So we can do it on our own. So, okay. Anyone else? Final comments before we sign off?
Yeah, I have something to say. Back to Camelot. You know, France is going to be the first demographic area to align to the King Arthur timeline through the rise of Arthur in the Albion. So that phase of the ascension timeline is going to awake the Stacy's beings that have been buried deep in the lands, which are going to be dragons, giants, different things that have been hidden for so long and frozen in Stacy's. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not.
But it's not just France, it's England. England has
Right.
Glastonbury, right? But there's the Michael Mary
Correct.
line that starts, you know, from up in Ireland.
Correct. All of that area. And that's why King Arthur and Camelot, again, is so important, because it's going to start in that direction, is my understanding.
Mhm. Okay, but we can all start right now with our own islands, our bodies.
Absolutely.
And, you
Absolutely.
know, we have, all of us have work to do. We're advanced or we're not advanced, doesn't matter. You know, we all have our, you know, and that's our responsibility actually, and what they need. And this is why you're here tonight, right? So we want to raise our frequencies. We want to hold the light in our homes, our neighborhoods, our communities, states. You know, the fields go out very, very far. So the more clear you are, the more service you are to your fellows, you know, humanity, and that, you know, you can do your work just on your own. You don't necessarily even have to immediately link up with people. That's just going to naturally occur as you build your frequency, as you clear away the debris, and as you you know, proceed through. And, you know, like it said, keep pushing. This is what Camelot did. You know, they fell like right at the 11th hour and 59 seconds, right? We don't want that to happen. So we each need to step up and do our independent work to the best of our ability. We can help. Okay, everybody, you all good? All right, it's 18 minutes past. Hopefully come back again next time we get the signals to bring a message. We don't, no regularity yet. We're just, this is new for us too. So, but we appreciate everyone coming. Future people watching this recording, very grateful to all of you. And we love you all. We're here out of love. We want to share what we're finding with all of you. And I'll say good night. Anything else, ladies, before I sign off? No. Okay.
No, just keep doing your work.
Keep doing your work every day. Okay. We'll speak soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.